Welcome to another edition of What's Out There. I am your host, Robinson Edward Derring. Join us as we bring you new ideas, new truths, and news you can use. In this episode, we explore the world of Theta Healing with JC Dove. Hey folks, welcome back. I am your host, of course, Robinson Edward Derring, and across from me is the man who is always in control, Rob Francis. Hey Rob, how you doing? Rob gives a thumbs up. Of course, you can't see that. Anyway, we have an excellent episode today. We are going to discuss Theta Healing, and our special guest is JC Dove. You may also know her as Jocelyne Colombe, and if that name does sound familiar, you probably remember we talked to her and to Dr. Jeff Baer a few weeks ago about the Biomat. JC, welcome aboard. Welcome back. How are things out west?
Thank you very much.
All right. As I know I gave a brief bio the last time that we talked, but I'm going to remind everybody exactly who you are. All right, JC Dove is a nurse practitioner who pioneered energy medicine at several medical centers in Connecticut. She is a master teacher of Reiki, as well as a teacher of yoga, Theta Healing, which we'll talk about in just a moment, holographic sound healing, reconnection, transference healing, and the language of light, among other things. She's also a minister, photographer, speaker, and writer. Okay, JC, I guess the first order of business is, can you give us a definition of Theta Healing?
Well, our listeners might be familiar with that particular brainwave within meditation. When a person begins to access source, there's a change in the brainwave patterning, and there are several brainwaves, and the one that is mostly engaged during meditation is called theta. So during theta healing, that's the wave frequency that the brain taps into to access information. So
Okay.
that's the word theta.
All right, I understand. I can understand that. Now, you say that it has something to do with our DNA. How so?
Years ago, there's a woman by the name of Anna Seibel who was dealing with a medical issue of hers, and she would meditate to see the answer because physicians could not figure out what was going on with her. And during this state of meditation, she began to receive information that looked like a ladder spiraling, and she was not quite well versed in medical lingo nor biology, physiology, and yet began to see changes within that structure as she was working on her aunt, and then applied that information to her own illness, and that became Theta Healing. And there was a specific process that she developed to help students and then teachers get into the meditative state very quickly, access information, and bring that information to the client that was either across from you physically or halfway across the world, because you can also do this over the phone without seeing the client. So it's access to the information that is, in essence, from another dimension, and yet being able to see what is going on inside the body, and then through this process commanding that the change be made, and then simply sitting back and observing the change. So in Theta Healing, it's really important to be the observer of the work. I act as a bridge for the client to receive the information. And then there's another piece that's really important, that the client is open to the change within themselves, because we honor free will, which is one universal law that is really important to abide by. So through this system, there's information that's gathered through the theta brainwave activity, shared with a client that becomes conscious of what is going on. Whether it's, I say bodies, we have several bodies, the physical body, mental body, emotional body, spiritual body. So that information is within the field that makes up the human body, and yet can be accessed and then changed. You know, we know that the body changes as we're talking. There are cells that are dying, new cells that are coming on board. So the body is always changing. And what is being changed in Theta Healing is what is off with the client, what's not working in their life. And sometimes it's a physical illness. Sometimes it's a relationship difficulty. Sometimes it's someone on their spiritual path. They have no clue what they're doing here on earth, and they want insight on that. So it's gathering these outdated patterns that are usually based on fear, limiting us from achieving a greater potential in our life.
It's interesting. I didn't, I just didn't know a lot of that stuff. No, I mean, it really, until you actually mentioned it. And then, like when you say dimension, real quick, when you say dimension, you mean like a third dimension, fourth dimension. You're not talking about like something science fiction, like completely different dimensions with different worlds. You're talking about something on this plane of reality, right?
Right, something that is in the invisible realm and yet has everything to do with the life that we're having today in the physical world. It's just like someone who prays to, their God or Allah, and someone who meditates. You have access to the invisible realm to assist you here on earth. So seeking the solution from basically another aspect of who we are.
Now, I was looking up Theta Healing online, and one of the things that I found was it talked about mitochondria and mitochondrial DNA. Now, for those of us who have, for various reasons, usually unpleasant, who have forgotten our high school science, can you give us a quick explanation of mitochondria?
Yes. You can look at the mitochondria as a powerhouse inside the cell. And it's like trying to turn your oven on without the pilot light going on. So you can't use your stove without that pilot light going on. So the same thing with the body. The fuel is called ATP, and it's produced inside the mitochondria. So the mitochondria has to be awake, if you want, like a charged battery, in order for the fuel to be produced inside the body. And then from that, all the reactions that are going on in our body, when we take in food, the nutrients are broken down. That takes a lot of energy for our body to function, from thinking to digesting food, elimination, all of that, to use the muscles and skeletal systems to walk and also breathe. That takes a lot of energy, and that all takes place within the mitochondria, which is inside every cell of our body. And when there's not enough of that fuel produced within the mitochondria, the body starts to break down. So that's really important. And in Theta Healing, when we awaken the DNA to its full capacity, we also make sure that the mitochondria is active, that it's activated, that it's not going to, after a while, run out of fuel. So that's another aspect. It's both related to...
Okay, I don't mean to cut you off, but we are approaching our first commercial break, so we can get back more into this when we come back.
Great.
Folks, this is going to be our first commercial break. I am speaking with JC Dove on the subject of Theta Healing. For those who want more information, they can send her an email at activatedna@aol.com. And we'll be right back after this break.